Salutations from all points of the shining triangle. Just gonna try to jump into something quick here about the picture here, which is the Tree of Life. If you're familiar, excellent. What I got is some Alex Gray Sacred Mirrors superimposed. Because Alex mentioned something interesting out loud at the full moon gathering this month, and it was about positive archetypes, which I've been doing something very similar, dealing with that, because the reason I think I was saying before is that people are introduced to the idea of archetypes via Jung, the shadow, the enema, the anima, even with like Tool. That's, you learn about it's alluded to, like the shadow, the anema, and all of that. And it's because people like Jung, or somebody who has a good persona, like a good ego, like a positive view on reality, a positive livelihood, basically living the eightfolded path in theory: right action, right thought. Well, see, that's where it gets tricky, because you get into the right thought area. And what Jung and people are touching on is the inner desires that you usually don't even think about, because you automatically know the right thing. Whether you want to or not, you act in accordance because that's the way you were trained to be around your family and society, and etc., etc., etc. But see, for me and others growing up in this area, is we grew up inhabiting the shadow and darker archetypes as self, like, as opposed to suppressing darkness. That was the suit you saw us wear. So I've been writing this quote unquote fictional story of, it's the opposite of Thus Spoke Zarathustra, where he's a guy, old man, who goes in the mountain and sits for years, and he comes down to tell everybody everything he heard. I've been fabricating from my own experience this Diary of a Drug Fiend homage. I know that's got bad branding, but it's an homage to Crowley, and that, since it's my first book that I was at, the point is that it's supposed to be the worst person trying to tell you the best things they found in life, okay? And it's not necessarily presented that way. It's like archetypally, like this dude. And it's not even a one-for-one Zarathustra. That's been coming up more and more recently. Is that because I've been having this whole exiting a cave stuff for a long time, and the cave may be on a mountain, but it's still like coming from the depths, and exiting a cave to reveal information. And this is where Alex Gray comes in to my Flower of Life work, is that upon exiting the cave, there is the subconscious mind. That's what you're leaving in the darkness, is all the things you can't grasp onto. It's too chaotic for you to wield as a person, so it stays underneath, whatever. But what we do have that goes into the depths is Malkuth. Now, in the way this is formed, these extend out, and these are seeds, okay, and flower of life terms. Now, if I could have this as far as they would go, you would see a fruit like you do on Tifereth for each of them. So just keeping that in mind when I talk about Malkuth, because Malkuth, the way it's positioned, how it's on the tip of these. Okay, so like this is Tifereth here, this one. So what you would do is you would find this Sephiroth again, make that the Tifereth, and build another tree. Find this, this Sephiroth within this Sephiroth, make that Tifereth, build off. That's why Tifereth remains center in the middle pillar. It's the most balanced of the Sephiroth. It's anyway, I'm just going to read some of this shit. I ramble too much, but I'm setting all this up. This is where my thought process was. Is I'm all about the tree and Alex, and for years I've been blending this stuff together because these are archetypes in my subconscious. Oh, and what Alex was saying is that we need to have more of a focus on our positive ones, and that's what I'm getting at. Is that if I would, like, okay, you're with somebody, they're hiding their shadow, they're hiding their animus, somebody, and you're in a situation where then their true self is revealed to you for whatever reason. They're broken to their true self. It would be a darkness, okay? But in the story I'm writing, it's these dark men, or at least one of them, is actually containing his darkness within him is a God self, basically, without spitting too many words that don't mean shit together. So anyway, we each have an internal dialogue with our best and our worst self, but this isn't a divided whole. This true self, the shadow and the animus combined with those divine counterparts we aspire to, Kali and Christ, Samuel and Sophia. Here's the rub. We each have a secret language. So, in your head, your shadow self and your higher light self is a different image, okay? But the way I was raised, I'm basically like a Gnostic at this point, because my family was many denominations. Like, I went to just all different kinds of churches growing up. Witness, Jehovah's, I mean, I gotcha, don't worry. So we each have a secret language, a subconscious alphabet. Oh, when I was talking about Samuel and Sophia and Kali and Christ, what I'm saying is there is not to focus on either one, but to combine them and see that as your whole. Like, no, don't focus on the white or the dark. Create a gray, the middle pillar. We're focusing on the middle pillar. Okay, so subconscious alphabets are our secret language that communicate those messages only seen by you, shown to you by you, like a dream. The images are set and setting to the thoughts in your mind. Your conscious mind rests upon the unconscious mind. Think of your eyes sitting outside your head, but connected to your brain stem that is connected to every inch of your body. Your skin is what you identify as due to it being the organ most exposed to various input. Outer, inner, sub-self is experienced mentally, but has physical analogs. Ken Wilber's centaur self is the best way to see all this. Persona divided by shadow, ego divided by body, centaur divided by the environment. Within the total self, or centaur, called this because we feel as though we sit atop our bodies, like as a rider, but really we're connected. So if you, as an archetypal image, if you just think of that, it's a fucking centaur, man. It's pretty fucking clever. Ken Wilber is somebody else I would highly recommend getting into your reference in your brain, your meme, your meme, your meme feed in your head. Separate parts of the body house different archetypes. View the body geometrically. I use a Gnostic tree of life image. Alex Gray's sacred mirrors are perfect for this too. He depicts the many layers of self. Christ and Sophia, along with the Buddha and other suprahuman mirrors, depict a higher self embodied in human form, and even transcending this form in a few of the mirrors. Yeah. The tree of life superimposed or extracted from the flower of life pattern gives us a map to refer and catalog onto. This is why I extend these, because you always read books about them cataloging stones, jewels, stones, plants, stars, etc. So, with this setup, I have it so you have 10 of them and 10 seeds. And within them, you have the different sephira. So if it's a plant or a stone that is of some other thing in a certain way, you can put it on there. And since there's 10 of them, each one of these could represent a greater sephira in itself. And the 10th having the fruit, which contains Metatron's cube and all of that. Um, I was my See, I used to have a piece. This is actually a miniature of a bigger piece that I used to have that has concentric circles that go out to 4 sizes, so 4 petals of circles, and then that's extended outward forever. And the tree is built on top of that, within all of that. It's hard to describe, but what it does is it gives you the 4 worlds of like Atziluth, Braya. I'm drawing a blank right now, but you know what I'm saying if you study the thing. So it's all contained within this image. And, basically, what I'm saying is I'm trying to build a perfect map for the tree to help others do cataloging and other information they can gather, because these are also letters and numbers, and depending on your gematria abilities or whatever, I mean, you could extract all kinds of stuff from that. I was attempting to build tarot decks for each Sephira, branch, so that it would be like normal decks, except for more and more influenced by a given Sephira. And so, basically, having a tarot deck for every religion, like, it turns into a lot of cards. Like, once you see how many paths are on there. I used to have a notebook where I was trying to write all the stuff down from the other tree, but I lost it along with the tree. So I'm getting off track. So we're talking about the human form here. The tree itself is the body, life. Alex's Gray, his new the Great Turn, where the arms go up like this. That's exactly what these things kind of do, because the way the sephira are on the corner, it goes out, and then the fruit pulls in. Like, it's hard to describe if you don't see the full thing. It's also like a grail. It's like a big cup, which is the fucking what they what they're all about up there. So anyway, Tree of Life. This is where our language comes into play. Or at least mine, my secret language. So, let me see. I studied the Flower of Life pattern early on in my life. Right after I discovered the tree, in fact. It's often found in many occult books. So I adopted a theory that it is true that it's a language, perhaps a silent language, often alluded to, as in sacred geometry is the silent language that people communicate information in, and it's best because you can given that you have access to the same resources, you can independently study the information, and so then, you know, if you're in actual communication with somebody, it's good to have a cipher. As in, because the Flower of Life's holographic, images can contain a lot of information. So, how much to extrapolate from any given message is, you know, it's why people can talk about sacred structures forever, because they're based on sacred geometry, and you can pull a lot of information out of just the Vesica Pisces, which is two circles intersected at the radius perfectly. Anyway, the Flower of Life is holographic in nature, but like nature, we can only divide so far. We must be willing to take the pattern out further still. Right, and that's another reason why the superimposed circles are important, because instead of dividing with straight lines, you're building circles on top of circles, a pattern on top of a pattern, and it gives you the same information you would get as if I would just divide the circles up by following the pattern, you know, making hexagons and the like. But it's also not the same, because see, that's what you got to figure out when you draw it. You because of what I said, you can divide so far in, and you'll reach a block. Okay, and you'll be like, oh, but mathematically you can cut forever. Okay, well, think of the Fibonacci spiral and the golden mean spiral. It's the same way when you draw. You start in the center. Everything is 1, 1, 2, 3 from there on out. You can cut back down to 1, 0.5 even, 2.5. That's all okay. But you start to get close, too close, and you're not big enough, shit gets smudged. You know, it's like the spiral on a shell. So build out. Expect to break the edge of the page. That's how this whole thing was found, as we kept spreading patterns when we were younger. This tree is a nod to a piece attempting to draw the tree in its true form. Oh, see, I'm saying what I wrote. There's... Okay. Yeah, the flower. So we have the seed, egg, fruit, tree. And basically, the seed in the circle, and then the egg has a circle, circles around it. Okay. And then the fruit is this, with the 13 going out. And then in most books, you'll get the tree above that. And it gives you pathways to each Sephiroth. It works out pretty good, right? And, okay, that's actually right. Oh no, you see, even this. See, but this is what I'm getting at, is that you can draw it in so many different forms. This actually is the fruit size even. So that's a cheat. It's not even what I thought it was, my bad. But here's another example. Within the 3 circles. This is how it is in each branch. These are seeds. So the 1, 2, 3, bing, bang, boom. Holographic. But as far as I see it, the tree is big. It's a tree. It has branches. If the fruit hangs on the branch, if there's fruit of the tree, you know. Anyway, that's what started all this work. So let me get back to it. This tree isn't on. In theory, it works, but in practice, you will find how complicated RL is. For example, to be of Tifereth is to be Christ-like and centered, but this center is found in many left or right of center thoughts. So basically, what I was saying is that you can be in the center of here, of this Sephiroth. You can be in a center, and it will resemble Tifereth in nature, because it is Tifereth of a thing. But the center of the middle pillar is a unique experience unto itself, because you're getting light directly from Kether, not Doth. Because Doth goes within all. That's complicated. I'm talking about traveling train. I haven't gotten that far. It can be centered in Yesod while in Malkuth. So basically, what I'm getting at there is these trees. This descends literally onto Malkuth, and Malkuth descends further and further down beyond it. And this would almost be like the most bottom form of like a human, and the various forms would be like higher forms performing the great work to create a child, to continue to create the great work. You see, it's an ongoing process. Anyway, what I'm talking about here basically is that Yesod is where the conscious mind begins to raise up into the ethereal. That's why I chose this mirror, psychic energy, energetic cornerstone of heightening awareness, shifting into visionary perception, subtle force pervading and emanating from the incandescent X-rayed physiology. He can't say it. Chakras whirl with intonations of Sanskrit mantra, glowing, ascending vertically inside the central shaft, sprouting to a Kabbalistic tree surrounding the atom hormone, universal human. See, this is the tree. Like I was saying, each of his are a tree. That's why it fits so well in this, because these are also individual trees. Now, from this state, you're able to begin the path, okay, and work your way up, okay. Okay, yeah, great work, which is now Yesod could have the psychic energy. I said that, which is why you need to trust your inner guide. I am drawn to Alex's work not only because it's amazeballs, but also due to the fact that it aids my own. It gives a form for unseen functions, a shorthand, not unlike how Tool has always been for me. Okay, yeah, see, so this is exactly what I'm saying. Alex has done work that is already light years ahead of what I'm doing, but so it helps me explain what I'm trying to say. This is why I think a lot of people are drawn to his work, Tool's work, like Maynard in general, because what they're doing is they're saying it plainly. Like, if you say it how it is, everybody can relate to it. You know what I mean? Like, if you speak with archetypes, everybody knows what you're saying. You're not muddying it up too much. Now, staying in the middle pillar in Tifereth perfectly falls Christ, heart and mind aligned, set aflame with the gnosis gained, balancing the previous two Sephira. In the painting are the angels who assist one in this process, one reminding you of the true word, and the other subduing, but not killing, the dragon of avarice. As center middle pillar, this is the place where one truly traverses the tree, and not just the inner worlds of Yesod and the astral planes. As much as it is true that each Sephira is a universe unto itself, in practical terms, they are aspects of self, until we integrate and become fully anthropos. Which means fully human, like in the truest sense of the word. Then you literally gain the ability to cross the abyss, which is Doth, which is above Christ there. It's a Sephiroth that is not a Sephiroth. Reason in the dark night of the soul. You're meeting with Mephistopheles. Trek across the desert toward the city of pyramids. Thoth is unspoken, for it is the outer manifestation of our inner world. The trials faced are wholly personal, to each his own. As a note, Sophia is your saving grace. Yeah, I put her up there too. Another apt archetypal image for Bina, or for my tree, and for Bina. And apparently the Thunder Perfect Mind poem accompanying it in Sacred Mirrors is perfect for explaining the state you must be in to be beyond the abyss. Sorry. I am the first and the last. I am the honored one and the scorned one. I am the whore and the holy one. I am the wife and the virgin. I am the mother and the daughter. I am she whose wedding is great, and I have not taken a husband. I am knowledge and ignorance. Yeah, so strangely, contradiction is unity above the abyss. Now, as much as Avalokitesvara, yeah, I can't say his name. Buddha? Is that a Buddha, right? I don't even have his picture out with me. Sorry. Could sit at any Sephira. No. Could sit at any Sephira. I hesitate to place him anywhere, defining him too concretely. As all these are my internal dialogues I'm working out. Right, so there's the many-hand one. And I was thinking about placing them all, like giving each Sephiroth a mirror. You know what I mean? But to me, it's not necessarily that simple, because I could easily take Christ out, put him there. I could put Christ and Sophia side by side up at the top. I could, it's the tree you're building. Like I said, there's trees in many different ways, but what I'm trying to get at is the true body, like the great turn, because that's what, this is literally cut off. This goes down. Okay, the amount it goes down is the same amount it goes up, and it's more than this board going up and down. That's how much of Kether and parts of the other supernals and Malkuth alone and parts of these others traverse beyond the central body. This is what I'm talking about, is expanding the human self. So you're a human within the tree. Your mind, your senses, your awareness is what extends beyond. You don't grow into a giant with wings and shit. That's what it looks like. And then, whatever. You see what I'm saying? These are increasingly more subtle abilities that are like easily laughed off. It's easy to say somebody doesn't have a connection to God because they're the only person that knows that they themselves have a connection to God, unless they experience that connection with another person, like together, like you have a transcendental experience together, and then you're like, oh, okay. But anyway, trials are personal, undermined. Changes come. Ascending the middle pillar brings us to Kether, the crown. Here I often place spiritual world as it is a mirror shining out. Yeah, I don't have that one there. The sun one, though. It says God and the sun of the mirrors. That's actually pretty good because the light descends down onto Christ. is a mirror shining out, projecting the light from above, below, and guiding that which is below towards the light above. It is the crown, for it is not governed by intellect. However, proper intelligence is required to manifest it. You must transcend all notions of ego in the traditional sense. This is a lot, but it's to show why the beginning of this process is so important. The Jordan P. Peterson shit about cleaning up our rooms is a corned beef and hash way of teaching people how to begin to battle the entropy that is constantly creeping in. The chaos people desire is a watered down death wish, a shitty party, a lousy game. I speak as a verified fucking agent of change, which always has a bit of chaos involved. It is best to plan for the worst and hope for the best, etc. Order needs to change over time to remain functioning, for nothing is static, everything is falling apart. This is what the depths of Malkuth represent, where putrefaction occurs. It studied life for a while, searching for the perfect methods to implement for our optimal survival. Oddly enough, and I may have been swayed, I considered viruses, bacteria, and then fungus. Of course, this was after the fleas eating my ankles, the ticks and leeches, the parasites are fucking nasty. But my consideration was based on them not killing me. But fungi consume the dead and steal fruit to feed the living. So, not parasitic at all. Then there is the whole vessel for consciousness at seemingly a similar frequency to us, alluding to perhaps we are a being of consciousness that is one either bound to matter and experiencing you can't say syllables it as self, or two, the one consciousness chooses to enter matter in a divided state to